Hello, everyone. Welcome to D&D with Shitlords. Inquisitor, your DM for today, for the campaign. Joining us are our players. We have Icy playing Tiela,
Hello.
Punisher with Garen,
How's it going?
Sanguine with Sanguine,
Even all.
Schoolboy with Olvir, returning.
Hey,
Your
faggot.
presence was missed. Your presence was missed. Hey, faggot, your presence was missed. No, it wasn't. We have Shady with Maya.
Yo.
And we have Eeyore with Sarah Shaw.
Okay,
Good evening.
I want to quickly interject. Sorry, I totally cut you off before you could even say
You
hi.
son of a bitch.
I mean, my mom's pretty rad, but she ain't no bitch. I just want to interject and say I didn't get to watch the last half hour of last week's stream.
All right. Well, essentially, the events that unfolded were that the boat that everyone had escaped from Saranya on has finally made landfall in what seemed like a deserted wasteland. And after the operators of the boat had eventually made it known that the players need to get the fuck off, a horrific sandstorm had swirled to the banks of the river that they had just river or sea or whatever.
Was it confirmed that it was a sandstorm? I thought it was a red smoke that was over the ocean that was boiling the water.
Essentially, what it was is, unlike the mists that transported you to these places, had moved you from Saranya to this new mysterious realm. When it's not too unlikely to assume that whatever sort of border that this realm now created, whether it be misty, sandy, or any sort of smoky, there seems to be a border that has now been closed, and the penalty for trying to cross the border is a swift and painful fiery death.
Or being boiled alive.
Right.
And it happened almost as soon as you have crossed into the border. That was the major point of contention for a while. You're all like, oh my god, there's something is trying to keep me here.
Sarah soup.
Yeah, Sarah Shaw was about to be turned into boiled dragon born.
Yeah.
if he went
Sarah
water,
soup. It's probably. Oh, go ahead.
Well, after a while, deciding to set off in a direction into the wastes to try and find civilization and relief from the oppressive heat, you eventually come across a caravan of Vistani, somewhat familiar in at least their garb and nature. You had met a troop like this before. The ones at the bank of the swamp that had led you to no, not Port Dahol. Marais de Tarascon. The ones that had led you to Marais de Tarascon. The same sort of people had their wagon broken down and pleaded to you for help. Eventually, you all did, and in the midst of the journey, you learn that the matriarch of the troop, Dulcime, is somewhat unliked by her brothers because of the situation that they're now being forced to be in. Number one, carrying you, Lot, and number two, being forced to be in this place that they obviously know of and don't seem to like.
Right.
After a couple of minutes of traveling with this Vistani band, you also discover out in the distance a young woman trying to flag you down, only to later realize that she is a drow, an insidious race of dark, evil people
So Dark Elf.
Yes. And Sarah Shaw immediately jumps on the fact that, evil must smite. Maya was a bit more self-defensive about it, I guess you could say. And Tiela was kind of caught in the middle. Eventually siding with Sarah Shaw and tying up Maya and bringing her to the caravan.
After bitch slapping Sarah Shaw with a tail.
Yeah, tail just right across the face.
Yeah.
Then the group decided to try and interrogate Maya, and that's where we ended the last time.
Okay, so they're trying to interrogate.
Yes.
I would say that is kind of.
Yeah. Olvir would spend the whole time trying to ogle.
Wait, why is he ogling at a lady?
You were
Never
ogling
mind. You guys.
You were ogling
you guys
at
don't know
because of her connection to the site.
Yeah.
Which Olvir would know about, but not be intimately familiar.
Yeah.
I just wanted to sort of say, just for roleplay purposes, nobody has actually. I have not introduced myself. Nobody knows my name. I'm only a drow to you guys right now.
Well, I thought Maya actually did introduce herself to Tiela.
I don't remember. I don't think I did.
No. Tiela said, I'm Tiela, that's Sarah Shaw, and Maya didn't... Wait, did she say it? I don't remember. I don't
think I responded. I think everybody started going at each other at that point.
I think so too. I think she only said it to Tiela then, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone actually knows Maya's name, the only person who it would be Tiela.
Yeah, right.
She was the only one
too busy trying to smite me.
Yeah.
So,
trying to smite you with holy power.
I pulled out a big one.
Oh, you idiot.
Looking at the drow, Sanguine gets... So, now that we've come to terms and we have a deal of sorts, what do we call you? I'm not saying anything until I'm unbound.
You say something, and then maybe you become unbound.
It's no way to make introductions.
I could introduce you to my hammer.
Tiela.
Sarah Shaw. Yes.
What?
Tiela, Sarah Shaw. Sanguine.
What did you want to say, Sanguine?
If you'd be so kind.
Yeah, okay. I grab a dagger and I just cut her loose.
You could have untied the rope. That's still
Nah. I made the knots too tight. Made sure that you couldn't go.
At this point, Garen grabs the rope and starts untangling it, and eventually mends it back together.
Oh, there you go.
That's a good one.
How tall is the caravan thing? The
Vardo stands probably about in grand total from wheel to roof, about maybe 13 feet tall. It's a huge wagon.
So I can stand up in it?
Yes, enough for everyone to be able to stand to their full height inside.
Okay. So
I can stand with someone on my shoulders.
Get up to my feet, dust myself off, sort of straighten out my outfit, make sure everything is in place. Wink, wink. And then I make I sort of stand straight, almost sort of at attention, and then I make a slight bow with my hand at my waist and say, I am Maefe Une Rillandar, former matriarch of Rillandar, House of Blackheart.
That's a mouthful.
You may call me Maya.
Okay, Maya, that works.
That helps a lot.
Yep. So, as I said...
So, one second. Is the matriarch outside? the caravan?
The Vistani matriarch?
Yeah, walking?
No, Dulcime's in there with you.
Oh, okay. So,
as I
Make sure I'm getting her
said
right.
when we started making the deal, you won't really be able to survive here without help.
Yeah, Dulcime.
We
True.
have survived an area that tried to kill us, and in one case successfully did so.
successfully killed one person, not all of us.
True. So,
Let's not talk about it.
Depends on how much personhood you want to apply to Zelthor. Or Chinty Binks. Love you, Zelthor.
So, I say, you play fair, we play fair. Nothing has to happen. We work together, we find our way out.
I have no qualms with allies of convenience, but I do not take betrayal lightly.
Anyone?
At this point, Olvir kind of comes out of his stupor of being trying to work up the courage.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Trying to work up the courage to talk to what's her nuts?
Dulcimer.
Dulcimer. Okay, why do I want to call her Dulcimer? Is that an instrument?
It's a musical instrument. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'll just call her Dulcimer. There we go. Trying to work up the courage to talk to Dulcimer, and finally looks over at Maya and notices that she's a drow.
Yes, I would say that you have passing knowledge of what a drow is. You've not actually encountered them, but you have heard of horrific raids carried out in their name.
Well, I don't know. I say just because of his profession and where he lives, he would have come across at least one.
No, remember the drow are very much a secretive sort of order, and they live in the Underdark.
Well,
the only time they come to the surface is to take slaves, or steal something, or kill someone. So
even more evidence to support my claim that we should just leave her out in the desert to die.
That was out of character talk there, buddy.
I know.
I'm talking to Eeyore.
I feel like at least one of our companions is currently worried that you would be the one doing the betrayal. So let's make it simple. Anyone betrays anyone, the rest of us kill him.
Sounds great.
Olvir looks at both of the tieflings. Even though he's worked with them, he still doesn't trust them, but hasn't made it clear.
Tiela just looks back like, something wrong?
Nope. Just admiring your horns.
Sure.
My dad had a set mounted on his wall, just like yours.
Oh,
I thought I was going to like you, but
he never told me what they were from. Could have been a animal out there, like a ram or something.
okay, I guess.
so before I sit back down, I sort of throw a gold piece towards Tiela and say, your naivety will get you killed someday, but I thank you for your patronage earlier nonetheless. I would have died otherwise.
Sorry, yeah.
With this whole party, all I'm thinking of is just that Avenue Q song. Everyone's a little bit racist.
A little bit. Hey, Olvir isn't racist because they're tieflings. He just doesn't trust them because they showed up out of nowhere and started telling us what to do.
Did Tiela do that?
No, but she went along with Sanguine.
She had little choice. Okay. Anyway, Tiela looks at Maya and goes and says then calmly, well, just because something seems one way doesn't mean it is truly that. In a sense of that she is feigning kind of her kindness in a sense right now. Because she is just as much wary of everybody because of the whole situation. But, yeah.
I look at her and I say, fair enough. You make a decent point.
She just slightly nods. And then it was silent.
You're a little bit racist. Well, you're a little...
Looking at Maya, Sarashaw goes, as long as you do not harm another member of my clan, you have my word that I will not strike you down. But the moment you do, everyone else get in line. I have first dibs.
I turn and say, you're the only dragonborn I see here. How would I harm another?
As I said, anyone betrays anyone, the rest of us kill him.
Garen pipes up at this point. And now, with the overdramatic posturing portion of our evening over, can I have a look? Do you require any healing, or are you simply suffering from exhaustion from exposure?
Now, Maya, you would be suffering a little bit, but mainly just because of the environment. You're not used to it at all. Your body's not ready. But by the same token, Garen, you also are suffering from a tiny bit of heat exhaustion.
Just
as well.
a little.
Just a little.
The sauna pump.
But yeah, so yes, you would be feeling a little bit
fatigued.
Fatigued, yes. To say the mildest, Maya. Everyone else was able to either make their saves or were traveling inside the Vardo. And like I said, Dulcime's brothers are steadily swapping out to make sure that no one is staying out in the heat for entirely too long. And yeah, they're, they've got themselves under control.
So I sit back down and sort of suggestively undo the first little button of my thing and just look exhausted. It says, I could use with a little rest right now. But giving a sly look to the men in the group.
By the way, my name's Sanguine. I'm not sure if anyone else has told you their names.
Wink.
Nice to meet you, Sanguine.
Mm-hmm. Don't make this a bad deal.
Don't worry, I don't violate contracts.
So, Maya, why?
You
are? Just answer this question first. Why were you trying to flag us down?
Because you had shade and I wanted it.
It looked quite urgent when I poked my head out to see what was going on.
Well, there was a corpse, and it looked oddly suspicious to me. I've never seen a corpse like it before. Although I'm not familiar with this environment, so that may have something to do with it.
Has anybody gone out and investigated the corpse?
Gone.
Yes.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone. Oh. Okay.
It's gone and not coming back.
Oh, you burnt it?
smithereened it.
Vaporized. It was rather fun to watch.
Was it coming back to life then?
No clue. I'm not taking risks.
Ah.
Maya smiles and says, I was impressed with the zealous nature of the destruction of that corpse.
Wait, what was that, Maya?
No items of the body, I asked.
Oh. You're asking me?
Just in general.
Oh. I didn't
see. What I saw.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah, no, the body seemed to not have any sort of items on it. All that was left was tatters of a linen robe.
So you destroyed a good linen robe.
Tattered. It was tattered.
Ah, good. Damn it.
Destroyed what used to be a linen robe.
I just know that I made it so that wouldn't stand back up, wouldn't turn musty on us. And with that, Sanguine sits down and gets comfortable.
And I turned back to schoolboy. I answered your question.
Olvir?
He doesn't know your name yet.
Yeah, well, Olvir just said his name, didn't he?
Oh, he did?
Someone else said my name.
But that's not how introductions are made. I may be drow, but there are traditions.
Traditions. Yes, that's true. I'm Olvir. 1 second, guys. Pulling up the sheet. There we go.
The fool can't remember his last name.
You can go fuck yourself. I'm Olvir.
What was my name? Where's my birth certificate?
I'm Olvir from the clan Ulf.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
I'm going to go see if the guys outside need anything. And with that, Olvir jumps out of the caravan and approaches the brothers.
Quick question. Is there any chance that Thangwood would know what Ulf means? Just in general.
I don't know. What's your passive intelligence?
My intelligence is... Let me quickly double check before I say it. I think I have like a 14 or 15 in it. I have a 14 in intelligence.
Okay. I would say from logical inference, you've got kind of a rough idea of what it would mean. Like especially given the sort of company that Olvir keeps. You think that might be a reference to Wolf.
Your name is Wolf Wolf?
Wolf.
Olvir doesn't mean wolf.
What does that mean then? It has the word for wolf, doesn't it? Or that does mean wolf, doesn't it?
We're asking the hardest questions.
Olvir's not in the caravan.
This would be something that I would call out of the door.
Olvir's not paying attention. There's guys outside.
Yeah, some of the brothers and Sarah Shaw.
And some of the brothers, Dulcime's brothers, you would know this too. Olvir, somewhat intimidating, large of stature, very commanding of voice, but they were cowed, if somewhat slightly, when Dulcime spoke back to them.
Oh, and while all this is going on, I'm scanning the tieflings carefully, as well as Dulcime.
Why is everybody suddenly watching us with this weird intent?
But I'm just doing this casually, not necessarily trying to make a scene of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's noticing it. That's what I'm saying. She's like, everybody's watching us suddenly, like, weird eyes. Because it wasn't
also waiting for everybody to finish introducing themselves.
I'm Tiela Nightingale. Nice to meet you.
A pleasure to meet you as well.
Garen bows very formally at this point and introduces himself. Lord Garen Fallion of Carnacre. A pleasure.
Ah, a man of high stature. It is a pleasure to meet you as well.
Wait, am I the only one that just goes by one name now?
Yes.
Technically, no.
Acting like fucking hires.
Tiela only has the last name because she took it from her technically somewhat adoptive father.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sanguine, we all use one name for conversation, but when you're making a formal introduction, the forms must be observed.
I'm Sanguine. Only name.
Like Madonna. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Actually, is it customary that tieflings don't really have a last name? Just, I'm asking Inquisitor right now.
No, tieflings, they can have, they come from all walks of life when it comes to culture. Even the ones born in Sigil have, they're really more of a product of the environment that raised them rather than any sort of racial sort of culture.
Okay.
So if it's among a sort of culture that doesn't apply last names, or if you were a street urchin, you probably wouldn't have a last name, and you would probably take the first one that you would, form an attachment for. That's not an uncommon occurrence.
Kind of like Tiela taking the last name of her adoptive father.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have the one. I'm just Sanguine.
The end.
Seeing Schoolboy jump out of the carriage, I walk up from the side to the front of it and ask...
Olvir!
Yes. Seeing Olvir, yada, yada, yada. I walk up and ask, is it your turn at the watch? This heat is really getting to me.
Yes.
Speaking of, give me another Constitution check.
Damn you. That'll be a 13.
With the minus?
I have a +1 and I rolled a 14. So with the minuses, yes, 13.
Are you still wearing your heavy armor?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Yes, the heat is coming down on you quite heavily. Being out here for so long, especially after your tryst with Amaya and coming back to the caravan, hanging around outside rather than going back inside in the shade. Temporarily, you are at a -2 to your Constitution, so it's a -3 to your maximum hit points until you have removed your heat exhaustion.
Yep. I go in, find a free space within the caravan, and sit down. To sort of pant it out.
And I can tell fairly easy that he's overheated, right?
Yes.
I reach into my belongings. I pull out a water skin and I toss it to him.
Thank you. I have my own, and I sort of reach over and grab it to take a drink.
All right.
I gotta step off for a second. I need to turn on the light.
Okay. Anyway, I'm assuming you all are going to want to get the caravan moving again.
Yeah.
Likely.
Yeah.
Let's be on the move.
What was Olvir doing outside? That is somewhat important.
It was his turn to get out, and he's walking next to one of the brothers.
Okay.
Just striking up conversation.
And I'm back.
All of them treat you very rudely. They don't like your presence at all.
That ain't gonna stop me.
Okay.
Could I? Damn it! Wrong character. I was gonna try and charm him with my stunning personality, but I only have a 12 in charisma. So I'd have to have like a really good roll.
I was gonna say, stunning personality, then stun me, schoolboy.
Well, I mean, no. He's just seeing as the brothers aren't very talkative at the moment, Olvir is going to look around to see if there's anything that might stand out in the surroundings.
Give me a perception check with disadvantage.
Why disadvantage?
The sun beating down on you.
Uno momento.
And the fact that the sand dunes all look the same.
1 second here. Favorite enemy is the dead natural explorer.
You can use a spell slot to use natural explorer, but
I thought natural explorer was you're particularly familiar with one type of natural environment and are adept to traveling and surviving in the region. Choose one.
Oh, okay.
When you make an intelligence or wisdom check, to your favorite terrain, your proficiency bonus is doubled. If you're a skill,
it's primeval awareness that requires a spell slot.
Yeah.
By the way, Maya, it lasts for 1 minute.
Oh, so it's still going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I take
Yeah, you get the sense that there are several people within a mile. Since it's a mile range, there isn't as many people as I originally said as the range of it. But there are like stragglers, a couple of people, more than the gathered group within a mile range, and you know the direction that they are.
Wait, can I sense humans? Is that on a list of creatures?
I think it says that. Yeah, I think it says that you can tell the type, just not how many. Or something. I don't remember. Hold on. Let me look at.
Oh, come.
Within. Oh, sorry. No. For 1 minute of the spell slot you expend, you can sense whether the following types of creatures are present within 1 mile of you, or up to 6 miles if you are in your favored terrain, which you are not. Aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. So, okay, never mind. You don't get a sense at all.
Were there any?
Well, okay, no, wait. You get a tiny, 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 niggling little bit of fiend among the two tieflings.
What tickling senses?
I feel like I'm going to sneeze.
Tickle, tickle, tickle.
I don't think
I thought Sershaw would give up for slight ping as well.
I look a little
ever so slight.
Nope. Because you're not actually celestial, Sershaw. You just get your powers.
I wasn't.
But the dragon.
I wasn't referring to celestial.
Oh well, the thing about it is
dragons aren't outsiders.
Yeah, Dragonborn are even more far removed from dragons as tieflings are from demons. Tieflings can trace their ancestry back directly. Dragonborn are somewhat of like an offshoot species of dragons. Like they have a common ancestor way back in the ancient history, but for the most part, no. Dragonborn are not dragons.
So not even a slight ping.
No.
Aw.
They're humanoids, not dragons.
They just look weird.
Yeah.
I heard that.
They're dragon head on a human body.
I think what Inquisitor is saying is that you're too impure.
Shut up.
The terrain that I took. What was it when I fucking was able to get this? Like 2, 4. I think it was 4 sessions ago.
Your favorite terrain would have been when you first took your first level in Ranger, which would have been
like 4 sessions ago.
Oh,
I think you chose forest to grassland.
Yeah.
I don't think I chose anything. I don't have it in my notes here.
Either.
I chose favorite enemy as undead, but I didn't take terrain.
A favorite terrain? No, you didn't.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oops.
Is it too late for him to do so now, or
conveniently he chose desert?
Yeah.
What would his favorite terrain though be, given his backstory?
Well,
forest
that's what
to grassland.
Not necessarily.
Or urban.
Yeah, could have been urban. No,
yeah,
but
remember, Olvir did leave his tribe and go to more civilized lands. He came down from the north.
I suddenly got Led Zeppelin playing through my head.
Just so we.
So it's up to you. If you want to take desert as your favorite terrain, I'm obliged to tell you, as a DM, especially given the sort of thing, desert is going to only really be this adventure.
Yeah, no, I figured that much. And I'm not gonna just take desert because we're in the desert. I was actually gonna look. I was looking through his background. And it would be forest and mountainous terrain, just because where his village was located. So I'm just looking through here: mountains, grasslands, forests, or the Underdark. Yeah, it would be a favorite terrain would be, actually no, it would be grasslands, just because of where he lives and he has a farm and shit. So grasslands it is. So that doesn't help.
Make your Blummin check already.
Well, I'm just making sure that you know, I'm not missing out on anything.
Pardon me.
So is proficiency or not proficiency perception?
Perception.
Perception with a
disadvantage,
which is
roll the d20 twice and pick the lowest.
Okay, so pick the lowest. 2 plus 4 is 6.
Okay. No, everything looks the same. There's somewhat of a heat haze coming off
cactus?
that you no, almost no vegetation at all. If there is any, it's long dead and petrified.
Okay.
And almost all the dunes look exactly the same. It gets to the point where it's somewhat monotonous to look out at the terrain.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, they were doing their introductions. Being as Sarah Shaw was standing literally right outside the Vardo, would he be aware of what they were doing? Like maybe 5 feet from the wall.
What's your passive perception?
12.
I would say you caught bits and pieces. The bit that interested you and caught your attention the most was learning Amaya's name and learning, or when Sanguine brought up the whole, if you help us, we'll leave each other alone and everything will be good. Those are the only things that you really picked up. Being outside,
so we would have no incline that they were making introductions.
Yes.
Very well. Then, next question. Would he notice that in addition to himself, poor old was suffering from early effects of heat stroke?
Yeah, no, it's obvious. Remember, Garen shed his armor. Everyone helped him.
5 points of lay on hands to him, 5 points to me. Heat stroke is gone. Oh wait, I don't even need the 5 points myself.
What?
I'm not damaged.
Heat stroke is not a disease.
Damn.
I got a question.
If it were, then the spell Endure Elements would not be a thing. Which is something you get as a paladin.
I haven't seen it anywhere. I think you might be thinking of Pathfinder again.
Endure Elements doesn't exist in 5e.
Doesn't it?
It's not a thing. The only cure for exhaustion is to rest.
Can I tell what class they are by looking at them, and vice versa?
Yeah, no. I mean, you get the fact that they are adventurers. They're geared like adventurers, but they're not necessarily, outwardly showing what they can do. And you haven't seen it. The only thing you have seen is Sarah Shaw cast some sort of divine magic on you.
Also, Garen mended the rope.
Yeah, and
also
Garen used the mend. Yeah.
Olvir has the least amount of armor on naturally.
Mm-hmm.
I lean over to Sanguine and whisper, "Why is that man almost naked?"
I've been trying to figure that out this entire time. I've just decided that's how he does things.
Caked in mud from the swamp.
Yeah, I haven't bathed yet.
Yeah,
also,
did.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger after starting the fight with the Predator.
Hot.
They're absolutely filthy.
Well, you are as well. You haven't really washed yourself either, Sanguine. After our little adventure against those musties.
And I've got sand in all my crevasses.
Would we have been able to wash up during our long rest on the boat? Because if so, he would do that as part of his normal routine. Okay. Yeah, but that's just because there was no area to do so on that bloody ship. If we had been at the church again for a night, I would have been perfectly fine. I would be nicely cleaned and ready for the day.
True. My soap is waiting for me in my pocket. Burning away.
You could have did what I did, just jump into the water.
Okay, I got another question.
Get killed by whatever that was?
Yes, so that we could have joined you and nearly become Sarah soup?
The boiling water nearly cleaned you down to your...
Hang on. I gotta take his leash off. There we go.
I don't need to be steamed cleaned.
Can I tell that they're experienced or no?
Yeah, they seem to be somewhat
weathered,
somewhat grizzled, somewhat weathered. Yeah.
Unlike other travelers.
Yeah.
That I may usually come across.
Yeah. The typical caravan that you'd met back after your self-imposed exile from the Underdark. They didn't pose the same sort of challenge as these people would. These people seem definitely much more capable and like they can take care of themselves. The fact that they're walking around with a sort of moxie to them is definitely something you'd be taken aback by.
Okay. I sort of look around at the people surrounding me and I ask, what exactly what are you trained in, each of you? You don't seem to be normal wanderers.
Now, why would I tell you that without you telling me first?
Because I asked nicely.
No, it doesn't work that way.
I have training in a ranger, though I spent my life as a hired killer.
Obviously.
Well,
obviously.
He's a drow. What did you expect?
Garen, you've never seen a drow before. Comparatively speaking to the rest of these people who've heard of the drow, you've never seen one. Your kind of circles haven't come around the same kind of people that dwell in the Underdark. Even as a noble, you never dealt with.
Worshipper.
Yeah, even as a noble, you never dealt with dwarves or anything like that. So.
No. So, never mind.
Feels like nobody wants to talk.
I'll worry about it later.
I'm a spearman by training, I say, nodding over to the spear.
Spearman?
Yeah. I know which end to stick in the person.
Reflection, though.
I know which end to stick in the person. Beginner's tip, it's the pointy one.
This is the dangerous end, right?
Obvious.
Yes.
I would hope you'd know that if you've experienced as a spearman.
I am a priest of Apollo.
A bit of experience with that.
But did I see them destroy the body, or was I in the caravan at the time?
You were in the caravan at the time.
Tied up.
Yep.
Okay.
Tied up.
So then I don't know about the magic use.
No.
Nope.
Okay. I looked at Tiela.
The only people you've seen use magic are Sarashaw and Garen.
Given my time around rogues and such and my backstory, would I be able to tell that Tiela is somewhat in that area?
Yeah. Yeah. She definitely looks she's outfitted more like a rogue.
Be right back, just need to grab
She's also eyeing that beautiful necklace that you have there.
Holy symbol of Lolth.
Yeah.
So I looked at her, I noticed she's eyeing it, and I clutch it tightly, staring with something of an intensity that goes beyond greed, trying to suggest. Oh, hold on. Looking Siri activated. Trying essentially.
You said greed. They were there.
Insinuating that there may be something beyond monetary value to this item.
And say, man, the women are just going to go at each other, you know.
And I looked at her and I give a slight smirk. And I say, you...
And I'm back.
Shit. I just had a brain fart. That's not her, that's me.
Yeah, I get that.
You haven't had the most honest life, have you?
It depends on what you call honest.
Very few people from where we are do.
I was raised by a man who believed that the corrupt should be punished and that those who were unable to provide for themselves should be helped by those who could. So I did things that were technically not legal, but I did it for a good reason.
Filthy commie.
I loosen my grip on my amulet and I softly suggest, in a soft voice, I say to her, I suggest you watch where your eyes wander.
What? I can't now even admire something pretty?
That sounds...
Admiration as far as you should go.
Fair enough.
Sorry
I have no problems with that.
All I'll tell you is I am very well trained in my Warhammer, and it will be your doom if you betray us.
Yes, his accuracy.
Yes, we already got past that
off
point.
the scale. Sorry, that was in character because she's just like that.
What was?
She said his accuracy is off the scale a little bit, like, not really.
And from what we've seen, you're more experienced in lying down.
Tiella's just trying not to laugh.
Also, I think you might be a bit past a practicing drunk.
We've only seen him drink once, yeah.
Yeah, but he got proper sloshed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there definitely was something wrong with that grape juice.
Grape juice? Sure.
Let's call it wine.
That's the name for it.
It was a particularly fine vintage as well. Our host was gracious.
I looked to that.
Gracious, yes.
I looked to the half elf, and I say, "Human Lord, what is your experience?"
I am a priest of Apollo, among other things.
Priest. I kind of get a bit of a scowl. A priest. Damn.
I heard the sun smite him just now, so yeah.
Yeah, remember you didn't have too many good experiences with the priests of Lolth. And those were really the only priests that you dealt with. But hearing Apollo, an extremely foreign deity, definitely piques your interest, something you've not heard of before.
Okay. What is the nature of your god, Apollo?
He is the master of the sun.
No, that's ironic.
Can we have him get rid of it, please?
Great, I'm stuck in a desert with a priest of the sun god.
And the sun is evil. Jesus Christ.
So, Garen, did you do anything to piss off your god recently?
No.
Then
I simply assume I'm being tested. After all, put me here with Sarah Shaw.
You would think the drow and the thief would be the issue, but no, it's the paladin.
I'm assuming you live someplace where that sun thing was always up in the sky.
Well, we had nighttime.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, it goes away every now and then, but every day it would go up.
Yes.
And yet you're the person that has trouble with it. I can count the number of times I've seen a sun with probably fingers and toes.
Yeah, about. You've tieflings, especially ones in Sigil that are in the illicit business, which both you and Tiela were. They've traveled amongst the other realms at the behests of other people, usually. So you know what the sun is. You know you've seen it before, but at the same time, it's almost an anathema because it's not a daily occurrence to you being in Sigil.
Yeah.
So seems like you must have
really kind of work more inside the city than outside of the city. So
yes,
she might have some people outside that she would give the goods to for money in a sense, but that's about it.
I turn to Sarah Shaw. Or wait, is he within eyesight of me?
I'm sitting right across from you, effectively.
Okay, I forgot if you got in the cart or not. I turned to Sarah Shaw, and I assume you're a priest too, Zealot?
I was nearly a priest. But no, the master of my order decided that I'd be a paladin instead.
And what god do you serve?
The Platinum Dragon. Bahamut.
Have I heard of this one, or is it another foreign?
It's another foreign one. Drow society is somewhat cloistered.
Okay.
Just a little bit, being underground and all.
I didn't know if they'd come across any knowledge during raids and such.
The most common temple that you would see in raids and things like that, especially even in assassinations, given political figures that are trying to maybe influence or even invade the Underdark, sorts of things that you would actually, take part in. Those were all priests of Helm, of Lathander, and of oh god, what was the other one? Tyr.
Okay.
I had the urge to go praise Lathander.
That's close. Lathander is a sun god, and you have Apollo here.
And what domain does your god hold? Your dragon god hold?
He is the justice bringer. And as such, I bring justice to any who dare break the law.
It comes back to you a little bit. So did you.
Huh?
I was say it comes back to you a little bit, Maya. So did you. You brought justice to people that needed it. Just a little different kind of justice.
The problem is he uses it uses it as carte blanche to be a complete fucking alcove.
Yes. Unfortunately, Sarah Shaw brought just as many headaches to us as he did justice to others.
Tiela, by the way, just goes like, he means idiot. Because she assumes now that nobody gets what alcove means and such.
I turned to Sarah. I'm still looking at Sarah Shaw. I said, I too brought justice for my god. I don't say it laughing. For some reason, I've got the giggles.
Your version of justice is a slit throat, though.
What better version is there?
redemption, correction.
Redemption isn't an infallible state.
Then tell me, Serisha, the people where I lived were often higher-ups who got away with everything. Do you think that my kind of justice was wrong?
Of course, stealing is a great sin in Bahamut's eyes.
Despite them stealing from the poor by quote-unquote legal means?
The poor should have worked harder to hold on to their possessions.
At this point, Dulcime will actually chime in and say, all of your idle prattling about your gods, you get their power here, but you could not be further from their light.
I guess that strikes another memory of my time.
How fortunate mine isn't really dealing with light then, isn't it?
Upon remembering once again that thought, Sarashaw's face just goes blank and slightly, frightened. Like, why didn't he come to judge me?
There is only one judgment here, and that is of Antipat. His name is Antipat. I've traveled this land before. It is known as Har'akir. My mother had told me of the sandy dunes and to avoid, if at all possible. That's why my brothers are not happy that we are here. But the borders, the mist that takes us from place to place is at the whim of the one who closes the borders. If we must and do want to leave, we must entreat Antipat into opening the borders. Or this place will be not just our prison, but also our grave.
So we need to charm a sword. Fantastic.
Hey, I've heard that you're pretty good at that.
What was
Especially
that?
you two. I've heard you're good at charming swords.
Well, pays off to be someone that people like. You wouldn't have much experience though, would you?
Sarashaw's just the punching bag of this game, I swear to God, man.
Yeah. Well, he started off calling me evil, so...
Okay, at this point, I'm assuming that everyone has been wanting the Vardo to move, to continue to move.
Yep.
Yes.
Everyone is slowly...
I thought the Vardo was moving while this was going on.
No, remember y'all stopped to help Amaya. So yeah, after a while, especially after Elvir came out, they got the message and they continued moving. By the time that this conversation has worn on, night has finally descended among the dunes, and it is a full 180 in terms of the environment. It's gone from oppressively hot, the sort of heat that will fry you just by being in the presence of the sun, to deathly cold like the grave.
Well, shit. How does this affect me? I don't know exactly the temperature of the Underdark.
So long as you're not in the sunlight, you're perfectly fine.
Okay.
I mean, cold is bad. You have to worry about that in the deep dark Underdark. But by the same token, you're prepared for that. You've used what you know of the Underdark to kind of make your way around the surface world as well. Whenever you can, you travel through the Underdark to make sure that you're not in the sun for longer than you need to be. And eventually you come back out onto the surface to continue your hunt. But at the same token, you're much more accustomed to this sort of temperature.
Okay.
And you would have packed accordingly as well.
So, is the cart still moving, or?
No, the cart has come to a stop at the dead of winter. Dulcime kind of looks at you all and brings up the fact that the horses probably shouldn't travel at night because of the massive temperature drop and the fact that they've been working during the day means that they could very easily go into shock and die.
Okay.
So it would be a good idea to give them a rest.
Should we set up camp?
I'll grab my stuff and I'll step out of the Varda.
Do we have any fuel for fires?
I have tinder. I think I do.
That's not fuel. That's an ignition source.
Starting fires is easy. Keeping them going to provide warmth through a night is a much more difficult proposition in a land without trees.
Yes.
Very true.
Well, we could burn Sarashaw.
Let's not. I've had enough of the heat for one day.
Excuse me, Dulcime.
Yes, young man. What is your name? Well, she wouldn't say young man because she looks even younger than you. She looks like in her early 20s, if that.
So is Olvir. Olvir's in his 20s.
Yes. What do you need?
I was wondering if you and your brothers had anything to fuel a fire.
We have some spare barrels of wine that have gone dry. We can use that for kindling and somewhat fuel. It should last us the night. But if we need to stay more than a few days in the desert, then we may have more of an issue on our hands.
If you may, could I use my axe to cut them up as evenly as possible so that we'd be able to use it the most efficiently?
Yeah. Give me a survival check.
Doop. 1 second here. Nice. Nat 20.
Okay. You were able to break up the wine barrel, the empty wine barrel, and you noticed a slight bit of wine left in the bottom of the barrel, and were able to kind of evenly coat the wood on the interior with whatever residue was left, so that it will more easily burn. And you were able to get at least 2 nights worth of wood. So
from one barrel?
Yeah, so one would be consumed tonight, and you'd have another day's worth.
And then we have another barrel, because Dulcime said a couple barrels of wine that dried up. Okay. Yeah. Can I go ahead and cut up the other barrel just because it is empty?
No, that one's still got a tiny bit of wine inside it. So her brothers would be kind of angry at you if you were to go just on a big old wood hacking spree. More than they already are.
That one has a bit of wine in it. How much for the wine? I'm asking Dulcime.
I'm afraid Sergei may not like that. It was his to purchase last time we were in Barovia.
So it's a bit too precious to sell.
To him, at least.
Also, how is the caravan doing on water?
What do you mean? Oh, on water. You all had your own various wine skins and water skins and so on and so forth. You all are doing all right, although you have the feeling that if you have to spend another night with rationing water, you might run out in a day.
Okay.
Is it
before the? Sorry. Go ahead.
No, finish with yours. I'll go after.
Before we get rid of the other empty barrel, I can refill it with water so that we can all refill our wineskins.
Yes, there's still that precious little droplets of wine in the bottom of it.
So,
Sergei, the largest and most intimidating of the other men, will shoot you a death glare, Sarashaw.
Well, then fill up all of the skins with the wine, and we can put water in the barrel.
You have the ability to create water from sand.
I can create 20 gallons of water from a single drop.
Well then.
perhaps
Inquisitor.
Feast of the Sun is some use.
Yes.
I have the frost thingies spell cantrips. Could I do something with that for them?
Ray of Frost? No. Ray of Frost is the sort of thing where the only kind of like ice or anything like that you could really make with it would be like condensation from the rapid temperature change. You wouldn't be able to, say, create water from that.
Okay.
But could she freeze the water?
Yeah, that's what
she could. She could chill your water skins for you if you want.
She just forgot all the BS that's happening.
Maya counts heads. How many people are there in the caravan and the group together?
Five Vistani, 5 adventurers. Grand total 10 plus you, 11.
I ask both Sanguine and I look to Sanguine because he seems to be the leader of the group I'm now traveling with. And I look to Dulcime and I ask both of them, when's the last time your people ate?
I'm sorry. There's 6 Vistani. 5 men and Dulcime, and then 5 adventurers, and then you. So a grand total of 12 people. Dulcime will look at you and say, we've prepared a small measure of food. We're a traveling people. We definitely are not unprepared for not meeting civilization. However, we cannot spare our supplies for you.
And I respectfully wait for...
I'm sorry.
I respectfully wait for Dulcime to finish talking. And then I look at Maya and I said, I am my own people. I'm traveling with them.
Last time we ate was what, on the ship?
No, actually on in the carriage. In Anton's carriage. Yeah.
Sometime yesterday, from what I can figure.
So I have I think. Let me check. The Explorer's Pack has 10 rations.
Yeah, 10 days worth of rations. Yeah.
And each ration is for like good enough for one person, right?
Yeah, for one person for one day.
A ration, one person per day. We can survive on half rations for a while.
Yes.
I said, I know a spell, Goodberry, in which I can create 6 berries, one for each of us, that will keep us fed for 24 hours. Or we could use the 10 rations I carry with me in my pack.
I have
my own
rations.
rations.
If you don't have rations yourself. Survival is key here, so it's best we
use your rations first.
Sparingly.
Yeah, I'd say use rations first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at this, Dulcime will look you over and say, I would suggest the other way. Actually, we are ready to bed down for the night. Yes.
Yes.
Then why consume your rations when you can use? Damn words! Why not use your spell slot when you're gonna regain the spell slot in the morning?
Yeah, well, yes.
That was an interesting voice change, Dulcime. Are you sure you're okay? Did you get into the wine?
my brother might have drugged me. I'm not sure.
By the way,
I'll give him a good hammering.
Tiella is rolling out her bedroll. Just saying.
Oh, yes.
Well, use the good berry. Let's eat that.
All right, so let's see. Goodberry is VSM and takes a sprig of mistletoe, but I have a components pouch.
Yeah.
So the VSM, what is that again?
Verbal, somatic, and material. So it requires oh god, what is it? An action?
Dance and
An action
sing
free
for us.
hand,
Cast your spell.
mouth, and
Is that a ritual spell too?
No, it just says casting time, 1 action, components, VSM, range, touch, and instantaneous. So
Goodberry isn't ritual.
It's not. All right.
So I clasp my hands together.
Yeah, you clasp your hands together. You rub the sprig of mistletoe between your hands, and you touch a dune in the sand. You see a small tree somewhat sprout up out of the ground, wreathed in magical energy. And instead of growing berries like you expected, you see small nut-like fruits dangle from the limbs, almost as if the land itself is somewhat changing your spell. But you gather up 6 of these small, what you only would assume is somewhat like a berry.
Is it possible that I can check before eating it if it's safe to eat?
You smell it. There's somewhat of an odor, but you also remember that when you cast Goodberry, the actual berry didn't really have a taste. It was sustaining, but at the same token, it the magic wasn't there for your convenience. It was there for your survival. So yeah, there's a somewhat kind of bland, nutty aroma from it, but you wouldn't expect very much more from the Goodberry spell.
Okay.
Inquisitor.
Yes.
While they're talking,
Mm-hmm.
After Olvir finished splitting the wood, I'd like him to then preparing, like doing the ritual alarm.
Mm-hmm.
If this is where they're going to be camping.
Okay.
So he's sitting down, leaning up against his backpack and preparing his ritual for alarm.
Okay. Now, are you going to have the alarm be audible or inaudible?
Audible for everyone to hear.
Okay.
I look over at Garen and nod at the sprig with the nut-looking things.
Mm-hmm.
Want to make sure it's good?
How would it not be good?
Everyone else seemed paranoid about her.
Reduced to eating the nuts from a drow murderer.
If you're worried about them, I'll tell you what. Give me some time.
Yep.
Garen will sit down. Garen will sit down and with one of the nuts and starts to pray. He will ritually cast augury to find out what will happen when he eats the nut.
You get the sense that it's just like Goodberry. Although the major problem is the fact that berries don't grow in a desert. So seeing it, you are somewhat hesitant about what kind of food this actually is.
But the augury comes out positive. It
Yes.
should help me rather than hurt me.
Yes. It will not hurt you. And it will help you.
Seems legit.
Good enough for me. And I grab one of the nuts and pop it into my mouth.
Okay. There's a sweet sort of taste to it. It had a kind of a hard shell that you weren't certain if you were supposed to eat. But have you ever had a date?
Yes.
You ever had a date? That's exactly what they are.
Very nice.
And it tastes, like I said, it's somewhat sweet, but at the same time, it's got an exotic flavor to it by way of comparison to what you normally have.
Not bad.
Again, this is the sort of thing you've never seen this sort of thing happen before, Maya. Every time you've cast Goodberry before, it's always been a berry bush. And of course, as soon as you take the sprouting fruit, the plant that grew it immediately withers, and the magic kind of fades, and the plant just kind of melts into nothingness.
So, being a ranger and being used to this kind of magic, would I realize that, given the fact that berries don't grow here, that it would adapt to the land?
Give me a knowledge arcana.
Which one's that?
It's intelligence, I believe.
Oh,
right?
I see. Intelligence.
If you have proficiency in it, you add your proficiency bonus. If not, it's just your intelligence bonus.
So I got Arcana, so +2.
Yeah.
12 plus 2, 14.
12, 14. You get the sense that your magic works here, but something is exerting control over your magic.
Okay.
There seems to be an external factor that's influencing it.
So I get the uneasy feeling that there's something wrong with this land?
Yes. You got that from the very moment you set foot here.
Okay.
Given the fact that you went from the forest into a desert.
Yeah, I figured that much, but I'm like, that it's... Well, I would have gotten the sense that something was wrong that took me there. I don't know about the land, though.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some... I turn to Sanguine and the rest, and I say, I think there might be something interfering with my magic, but it seems edible, so... It's not. It's supposed to be berries, not whatever these nuts are.
Well, tasted sweet, tasted good. I'm happy.
We can't complain as long as it's food.
Yeah, the one thing that does seem kind of odd about it is the fact that after you've eaten this one piece of fruit, you're still kind of hungry, but at the same time, you do feel sated.
Okay.
And that's not normal for Goodberry? I kind of expected that.
there is a sort of niggling feeling that Goodberry, you would feel sated. You would feel okay. But this, you're still kind of hungry.
Yes. So I kind of just hold my stomach with a slight look of confusion on my face. As to just kind of looking at my hand almost as if, did I do something wrong?
Is that not how it's supposed to be?
You're supposed to feel completely sated, not hungry in the slightest afterwards.
It's a single berry. Even with magical enchantments, I don't expect it to work fully.
Then you're a fool.
Also, if any of you have taken any damage, you're healed by 1 hit point when you take the good berry.
Unfortunately, I was at maximum before you pulled that shit on me.
And that reduces your maximum hit points.
Yeah.
And I thought you went down.
It's temporary, though. It's temporary.
Couple HP after getting your face slapped.
Oh yeah. Well, no, that wasn't. Tiela wasn't trying to do any damage with it.
Okay.
Okay.
It was more to make a statement rather than to hurt.
So I moved to roll out my bedroll as well, but I prepare for a meditation, a trance, and I plan to take some an early watch, as I don't need as much sleep as they do.
Garen will very carefully, will offer to very carefully help Sergei gather up his wine into wineskins so he can refill the barrel with water.
Okay.
Oh, actually, can I give a quick search of the area for driftwood?
You don't find any. It's mostly just sandy dunes. You get the sense that if there was an oasis here, or if there was any sort of water deposits, that it has long since dried up, and all the vegetation did as well.
I was just thinking if there was any possibility for excess firewood.
I'll set up my tent, lay out my bedroll, get everything nice and situated.
There's nothing to stake it to because you've got nothing but sand.
No, but I can use the heavier objects that I have to plunk down in the corners. Plus, I'm going to be inside.
Actually, be quite helpful with the warmth. We can build a fire pit around this amount of sand so that the sand will retain the heat from the fire even after the fire goes out for a while.
True.
I totally told him that.
Yeah, but by
by the way, Yella then kind of makes a gesture to get the attention, and she tells the group, like, tomorrow morning when everybody drank a little bit, I want you guys to give me your water skins so I can freeze them.
Okay.
And I'm just waiting for people to go, like, you can freeze them. Nothing? Nobody? Okay, good.
Well, yes.
I'm good with frozen water, given my hellish experience the day during.
It might be better simply to freeze all the water in the barrel. It'll stay frozen longer that way as one solid mass.
Why not?
But if we have
it'll act as a Vardo cooler too.
Yes.
Yeah, freeze both.
Will it actually do something, Inquisitor, by the way? Just asking.
It would take a very, very long time, and you would be somewhat exhausted afterwards, using your cantrip over and over and over and over and over again to freeze a barrel.
Okay. By the way, can I even do it? Because I think I need some objects for that, and I don't have those yet.
No.
I can pass you an arcane focus.
Cantrips never have a material component, I don't think.
No, they don't.
Upon hearing that Tiela is capable of freezing water, I look over at her and ask, "You're capable of breathing cold air as well?"
What do I look like? I'm not a mage. That I have some tricks up my sleeves doesn't mean I can't do that.
Kind of a mage.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
She's going to tell me. She's like, you'll see when the time comes with my magic missile.
By the way, I'm sort of setting up my bedroll a small distance away from everybody else, as I'm not quite trusting of everybody just yet. I'm being cordial, but for my own good.
I will also set up my bedroll, making sure that it is between the rest of the party and Maya's bedroll.
So you're the first.
How big is the barrel?
I would say it's like a pony keg, so not very big.
Okay, so way less than the 20 gallons.
Yes, way less.
Maybe 10?
Well, you could give us all a shower.
I would say maybe 2 or 3.
Okay.
With rationing 2 or 3 gallons, you could probably sustain 12 people for about maybe 2 days.
I can always
Especially
make more so long as we have some left.
Yeah. That's the good thing about the spell, is that it doesn't dry out after a certain period.
Is alarm done?
Yes. Alarm takes an hour plus however long
the action
is. A minute. It takes an hour and a minute.
10 minutes.
To cast. If you're doing it as a ritual, which I'm assuming what you're going to be doing.
Will anybody but him be able to tell
yes.
where it is?
Since he put it up, you can nominate however many creatures, I think, in alarm, so that they don't trip the alarm. So none of you or the Vistani will trip the alarm, but if anything else comes within range of the alarm, which I think is like a 20-foot cube or something like that.
20-foot cube, yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry. The 20-foot cube is the range.
You choose a door, a window, or an area within range that is no larger than a 20-foot cube.
Yeah.
So you can put like a perimeter around your camp.
That's what you did.
Yeah.
So I go to my trance, and as soon as it's done, if it goes undisturbed, I basically start something of a perimeter patrol.
And
also, Inquisitor, ritual takes 10 minutes extra, not an hour extra.
Oh, I thought it was.
So it's 11 minutes.
Okay. All right.
I'm not crashing right away, so I pull out what looks to be a scrap of cloth that has some design work on it. I set it down near where the fire is set up, pull out my dice, just start playing with my dice, and I start to sing.
I also didn't announce what I was doing to anybody.
Oh, by the way, Schoolboy, you can also announce exactly what the alarm will sound like.
Yeah.
The groans of pleasure.
No, it just says an audible alarm produces the sound of a handbell for 10 seconds within 60 feet.
Oh, okay. So it's a handbell. Right.
That's a very annoying sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's enough to wake us up.
So, how long would what's his face, Sanguine, be playing dice, or is that not Sanguine?
It's Sanguine.
Yeah, it's Sanguine.
Would I have been done by my rest, or have I started yet?
We're at the start of everything.
Yeah, we're just setting up camp right now.
Yeah, I'm also not bunking down immediately. I just sort of set up the bedroll, put a piece of paper at the front end of it, sort of prostrate down and begin praying.
I decided to get my rest as soon as possible because I want to sort of keep an eye on the land and get a feel for it as much as I can in the dark where I can actually see.
Okay. And yes, yeah, as soon as the dark comes down, you feel a little bit more at home.
Yes.
At the end of the first song that I started, I just kind of call out, anyone care to dice?
Shut up, Sanguine. I'm trying to sleep.
Karen will.
I get up from my, I look up from my prayer. You have to gamble now.
What else do you do when you're bunking down and actually have some free time?
Got a question. How does a trance look? Is it more of a meditative stance, or is it sleeping just normally?
It's sleeping like normally, but it's a sort of torpor. You could be what it is that it's like extreme REM sleep, but like immediate. You don't spend an hour trying to fall asleep and then eventually fall asleep. You just.
So I'm not hearing any of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, I was like, please shut up.
And I'm snoring surprisingly loud.
That's the best. Yeah.
But I never know I snore. I'm a dignified woman, of course.
Yes.
No one dare tell me.
Oh, you will hear it in the morning.
Where are the Vistani right now?
Some of them are choosing to stay in the Vardo. Others are taking their like bedrolls and things like that in and around the Vardo. Dulcime is the one that's staying inside the Vardo.
And there's a door on the Vardo?
Yes, on the tail end.
Olver and Nana walk over, and Olver knocks on the door.
Okay. You see Dulcime come out. She's still wearing a lot of her adornments, but she's definitely removed a lot of the more lavish embellishments. She's no longer wearing the tasseled sash around her waist or any of that kind of thing. But yes, she comes over. She's somewhat rubbing her eyes. Yes.
Sorry, madame. Did I wake you up?
No, I have not yet fallen asleep. I was reading the cards, seeing if I can find a way out of this hellish desert.
You were reading the cards. Yes. May I come in and talk to you about that?
She seems somewhat surprised of your forward nature. And
it's my mother used to read.
There have been other diviners in history. The Vistani are among the most gifted in the site. But it is not uncommon for there to be people who have the sight.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, if you would like to talk about it.
It's just my grandma would tell of stories, and he's saying this as he's getting into the Vardo. My grandma would tell me stories about all her travels around the lands and the caravans that she traveled in, and how one day she had to run and escape.
This land is fraught with many dangers. It is not surprising. We are a nomadic group of people that do not take kindly to a full sort of civilization. We travel amongst our own clans. If your ancestor had to abandon hers, then it could be for a much more sinister purpose.
Yeah, she wouldn't get into too much detail about it, but she would tell me about the parties of when the caravans were in more accepting areas, and I miss my grandma.
There are a lot of people gifted with the sight, but the terrible irony is that the only sight that we wish to have is to look backwards.
It makes sense. I had a question about the cards as well.
The tarot. Taroka.
Yeah. My mother gave me this deck, and he takes the deck out of the pouch and places it on the table that I'm assuming is in front of them. And said that it was passed down. My mother said it was passed down from generation to generation and to generation.
There is somewhat of a lingering trace of divination magic among these cards. If you were a bit more attuned to them, if you were born or were something else, maybe you could use them. However, we Vistani, the men in our tribes, are usually not the ones that are gifted with the sight. I'm sorry. I know how much you value your mother and your grandmother. However, it seems like maybe the sight has skipped a generation.
Could I ask you how my family's doing back home?
She'll take your hand, close her eyes, and for a somewhat awkward amount of time, open them and say, "Your clan does well. They have been at war with others, but the losses were not great, and they are now richer for it. Your father is growing old. The chieftain may, in the future, need to step down." And that is all I see.
Will I ever be accepted back home?
That is the sort of future that is left undetermined. If you are able to go back home, which I sincerely hope you can, but given where you are, may not be a possibility. But if you are able to, I sincerely hope to every power that I can that not only will you be accepted, but you might be able to even claim your birthright.
Thank you, Dulcime.
And she bows to you. and says,
And
your grandmother's spirit is at peace. I pray for the same peace for you. And she'll lead you to the door.
On his way out, he stops and turns to her and if I do make it home, and if I do take my rightful place as the chief's son, you and your clan are more than welcome in our land.
She'll nod and kind of give a wry smile. I hope my brothers would be as accepting.
And with that, he walks back to where his backpack was.
Okay.
So, Garen came to join me for dice, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, when you come to sit down next to me, you would see that the cloth that I set down, which is about a 1 foot square, seems to have been cut and torn from something else. And it has a fairly interesting design, which, Inquisitor, should he roll to see if he knows what type of design it might be?
Of all of the group among you, the only one that's not necessarily from an area that might overlap would be Garen. The pantheon of Apollo means that he's not from Faerun like the rest of all of you, and not from Sigil. So if any sort of cultural meaning were to be gleaned from it, it would be completely lost on Garen.
It's not something specific to the area so much as what type of thing it is. I just sent you a message telling you what it was at one point.
Okay.
It was a curtain from a temple of Apollo.
It's a used diaper.
I don't know. What sort of background would Garen have from being a noble? Would you?
He would have spent a lot of time in taverns with other young nobles, like slumming it up. But
okay. But comparatively speaking, for culture, you never really traveled outside of the noble sort of areas.
Nah, like a few counties away, but within the kingdom.
Okay. The closest that you can glean from this is that it seems to be a tattered remnant of what might have been at one point it could have been a tapestry, but the symbolism, the symbology, is long since worn, and bits of it are omitted entirely. Like it's a piece of what might have been a larger whole.
Okay.
So I know that we talked earlier. You said that you've never diced before. You played some other sort of game, that correct?
Well, I didn't recognize any of the dice games you mentioned, but we did play them where I'm from.
Oh, okay. Well, then
we simply have our own ways.
The game shouldn't be that hard to explain then, and I explain the game.
Well, now, are you guys going to actually gamble here? Like betting money and like trading gold between each other?
While he's doing so, quick question. Would my prayers have any sign of an answer? Like any at all?
Now, what do you mean? Are you talking game terms wise and like switching your spells? Or
no, I'm talking about...
Are you entreating to actually like some sort of divine intervention?
Any form of communication. Attempting.
you get the sense that you are still receiving divine inspiration, that you are getting some sort of energy from your god, but you get absolutely no response when it comes to any sort of prayer. If you are expecting any sort of thing, not all the time were you able to feel the enlightened presence of Bahamut, even back on Faerun, but at the very least, you knew that what was coming in was coming from Bahamut. Now you're getting the sense that you're still getting that connection, but no matter what you say, no matter any kind of divine sort of prayers that you give to Bahamut, they're falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, so after about half an hour of trying, I just get frustrated. Why won't you answer me?
Anyway.
So,
how much time has passed since I slept? Sorry.
I would say since all of this is sort of happening at the same time, not very much time at all.
Okay.
So now the question
Go
is,
ahead, Sanguine.
Do you want to gamble or just make this a
friendly game?
Friendly game.
Oh, I'm not against gambling, but I think it's best for a couple of goes just to see how the game works first.
Fair enough.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
And I say, you all, it's role play amongst yourself hour.
Yep. Quick question, Inquisitor.
Yes.
What is the exact rule for gaming? It's D20 plus proficiency with it.
I would say it's entirely based on you guys. You can roll a D20 and pick whoever has the higher result for the winner, whatever. But agree amongst yourself for terms of game.
Okay.
There's no rules for gambling in D&D, that sort of thing. You just trade gold pieces. So whatever you want.
I actually do have some rules for gambling in D&D if you're interested.
Oh, sure. Really?
Yeah. Yes.
I'll be right back.
So there's a dice game that my friends and I kind of invented a while back called, we call it Perfect 10. Mm-hmm. And the way that the game works is this. You throw 3 dice, D6s, so...
3d6?
Yep. And then you get three rolls. So, for instance, I might roll a 3, and a 2. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 2 of those rolls and add them together. The object is to make either a really low number or a really high number. Mm-hmm. 3 and a 2 makes a pretty low roll if you take the 3 and the 2. Mm-hmm. So I'll say that's a low roll, and the total is 5. So then I roll again. And now because I took a low roll before, the idea is to try and make a high roll. Mm-hmm. This time I rolled a 4, a 2, and a 3. And my highest roll from there is a 4 and a 3, which makes 7. My low roll was a 5, my high roll was a 7, so I get 2 points. Mm-hmm. Does the same thing and tries to make a better score.
Okay.
If you have proficiency in gaming, you can add or subtract your proficiency bonus from one of the rolls. If you have sleight of hand, you can use that instead.
Well,
but you might be caught cheating if the other person's perception is better.
Yeah. I mean, like gaming. I said, that sounds really interesting. But again, make up your own rules, guys.
I'm fine playing that.
So, whose deception skills are the highest?
What if you get a 10?
So the thing is, Perfect 10 is if you roll a 2 for the low roll and a 12 for the high roll, you get 10 points.
Okay.
If you roll a Perfect 10, the bet is automatically doubled. So if somebody beats you with a 10, then you owe them twice as much money as you originally anteed. So that's the game.
Good to me. Yeah, let's do that. So my first roll is going to be a high roll. And I get 10 on my
You choose
high.
whether it's a high roll after you see the numbers.
Yep, I know.
So,
I just rolled it. And it's going to be a high roll with 10. And my second is going to be a low with 2.
so you get an 8.
I have 11 and 3.
So you came over to game as well?
Yeah, why not? I don't gamble, but I'll play.
My first roll will be high. I got a 5, 3, and a 5. So 5 and 5 is 10. I'll try for the low roll. 4, a 6, and a 5. 4 and a 5 is 9. That's 1 measly point. I lost that one fair and square.
Yep. So it's you subtract the low from the high?
Yep.
Okay, so I get 8 points.
Same.
Okay.
So whoever has the highest total wins that particular pot. If you both have 8 points, then you'll split that pot.
Okay.
If we're gambling.
Yeah, if we're gambling.
If you're gambling, yeah.
Shall we do another toss?
Sure.
Some of the Vistani, the younger members too, look somewhat interested in your game and come over and start watching, much to the disapproval of Sergei, who's eyeing you all with disdain.
Oh, and Olvir came over and started watching and then decided to join in.
Mm-hmm.
So would he have to check?
Check what?
To see if he knows what the scrap's from.
Oh, yes, Olvir.
If I wanted to.
It's up to you.
Cared.
If I cared.
Sure, why not? Let's check just to see if it's from my kingdom after the information that Dulcime gave me.
I don't know. Sanguine, give me a little bit more background on it.
It's here. Let me just type it.
Yep.
And after several unanswered attempts, Sershaw actually becomes quite unhappy, grabs the sheet of paper, and it just looks like a complete face of failure on his face as he's walking over to the fire.
Piece of paper? What piece of paper?
He had a piece of paper in front of him while he was praying.
Oh, okay. I'm guessing you were going to write any sort of divine inspiration that came from it?
No, you should actually be able to tell what this piece of paper actually is.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Tiella's just laying there thinking to herself, like, I wish I could do what Maya did, because goddamn all this noise.
Sersha, why are you yelling?
Because the Platinum Dragon won't answer me, and he didn't appear before me when I fell earlier. Have I failed him or something?
My gods don't answer me all the time either, so...
Olvir, you don't recognize the piece of cloth. It seems to be entirely foreign to you.
But I didn't even roll.
No, you would never be able to win because there's no way that you could possibly have that knowledge. So,
Nat 20. No, I'm just
You know how this
way to waste a nat 20, ha!
And that's even to tell what type of thing it's from?
No, for being able to tell the type, given Olvir's background, especially being among a somewhat passive but still warlike clan of barbarians from the north and the spine of the world, you would know what the difference between, say, a tapestry and a battle standard. And this looks like a battle standard.
Now
it's different than, say, like the simple sort of Yeah, it looks different than the sort of simple stuff that barbarians would do versus something like the Lords of Waterdeep. If they were going to go into a warlike sort of campaign against the Drow of the Underdark, if they came up and started creating a war against them, that would look vastly different than, say, the battle standards that you would have up in the barbarian tribes of the north and the spine of the world. But there's unmistakable symbology in it that is important to whatever company was carrying the standard.
So, can Olvir just mention, like, nice battle cloth?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Nice battle cloth.
Now I'm curious if Tiela knows what it is, but I'm betting it's no.
Yeah, that was a hard one.
But Tiela's asleep.
I'm trying to.
No, she's not.
Trying to sleep.
She wants to sleep, but everybody doing their dice and they're scolding to their gods because they're not answering and snoring from a drow.
Yeah, so I look over at Saoirse after he says his god isn't answering him, and I said, like, my gods don't answer me all the time either. Give it a rest. You sound like a little baby wanting his mommy.
Don't speak of my mother that way.
Oh, snap.
I didn't speak of your mother. I said you sound like a baby wanting to suckle off of its mother. Not you are a baby wanting to suckle off of its mother. Dragonborns never get anything like a metaphor.
Street fight.
Sanguine just kind of whistles at that.
Shall we get back to the game?
Yes.
Olvir, you don't understand.
I understand a lot more than you think I do. I was there when you explained how you were the only one that walked away from a wagon-like thing. That's why you couldn't get into the... or wouldn't, or something. You lost your family. I get it.
We all lose our families eventually.
We all lose our families eventually. And he looks
Tiela,
back
by this point, gets up and she just walks over and grabs Saoirse by the arm and pulls him away a little bit.
And Olvir looks back at Garen and Sanguine and says, shall we continue? I got an 8 and a 3. Or no, an 8 and a 5. Giving me 3 points.
I got a 3 and I got an 11. Give me 8 again.
Huh. I got 11 and 6, giving me 5. Devil's luck.
When you get used to gaming, you get good at talking.
Another round?
Absolutely.
I got a 10 and a 4. That's 6.
I got a 3 and I got a 9.
It's also 6.
Yep.
9 and 7.
2.
I'm glad we're not playing for money right now. You'd have all mine by now.
I don't gamble.
Oh, I did, but it was a poor choice to do with the men. It left them sore.
And this is the first time you've ever heard Olvir laughing hysterically. Not hysterically, but with true joy.
And for me, that's an 11 And, oh, would you look at that? A 2.
9.
That's an 11? No, that's a 12. Got a 12? 12 and a 4.
Looks like this is my hand, unless you're able to pull something out. There again.
Yep. Well, 11 and 2. That's a 9.
Ah. Looks like we have a push.
So, quiz.
Yes.
How much time has passed now?
I would say by the time that they've played several games now, it's been about the 4 hours that you need to eventually come out of your trance. People are milling about. Tensions seem to be high in one circle, and others seem to be a bit more relaxed in the other.
Can we engage with the brothers and see if they want to play? And just kind of have us playing in the background while we hear what Sarasha and Tiela are
Yay! You noticed it.
Well, yeah. This is out of character, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Yeah.
Well, the youngest brother, Dominic, is somewhat really interested in all of you, and he's taking an interest. But the others are a bit more passive, and of course, Sergei's disapproving gaze keeps them from joining in. And you have the spotlight there, Tiela and Sarasha, if you want it.
What do you want, Tiela?
She just pulls him a little bit farther away, so they're out of earshot mostly, and sits him down and sits across of him and asks him, "Where did you grow up? Because you seem to have a lack of control over your emotions." She's not condescending. She's genuinely interested and trying to understand where he's coming from.
I spent my early childhood, as you might know, with a trade caravan, but I spent the bulk of my youth in a temple to Bahamut.
Have you ever interacted with people from different types of life before?
No, he has not.
No, we know, but she's asking him to make sure.
Sarasha's voice really changed with that.
Other than merchants and...
Yeah, is the merchants from when you were very, very young. But since being cloistered in the temple, absolutely not.
No.
Just merchants from my early life and the other members of the temple.
I see. You think that probably if you look at me that I'm quite trusting and happy-go-lucky, and that I am trusting, that I'm just going with the flow. You do realize that from where I come from, that I am not that trusting, right? But you notice that I am not openly showing it, right?
Yes, but that's typical of members of your profession. You don't show what you think.
Yes, but do you know why we do that? It's not simply to put up deception towards people, but you don't know the other person that you meet for the first time. Even after a while, you mostly don't know a person. Especially in the situation we currently are, we're just helping each other to get out, and that's it. We're not here to bond or become friends. We're here to do business and get out of here and stay alive. But if you put up a front that is hostile, like you're currently doing, towards me, towards my acquaintance, and the others, you're just making so much tension that nobody wants to help you and nobody wants to fight for you.
Or with you.
Or with you.
Such is the life of a martyr.
Shush! I'm trying to properly roleplay here.
Oh, I know.
Jeez.
Well,
But no one expects the Inquisition.
Oh!
God damn it.
okay, you guys are breaking the mood here.
A little bit.
Well,
Let me just say, you don't easily get me against you, but your act is getting me quite against you. And I don't want that. We're here all to survive. We all want to come out here alive. What happened to you was so horrible. It still burns in the back of my memory that you were dead. I don't want to see that again. I want to see us all alive out of here. No matter if we don't need to like each other, but we have to work together. We have to do this. You have seen the dangers already, just like me, just like the others, and you seem to know stories about this drow race, unlike seemingly myself and Sanguine. And I think the priest also wasn't too knowing of her. So instead of making her hostile, maybe you can try being kind and just keep it a little bit back. I get where you're coming from. I want to more than willingly help you keep an eye on her, but it's better if we are not too upfront about it. She will just be hostile about it, and rightly so. Would you not be hostile if people are just staring you down constantly? Like they're kind of doing right now because you're acting hostile towards everybody?
well, my interactions with non-Dragonborn have never gone too well, for one, and I guess I can try to act civil, but I just don't want to see anyone else get hurt.
Then, if that's truly what you want, it's better sometimes to bite your tongue.
At hearing that, I open up the sheet of paper, quickly give a glance over it, and then just sort of close it up and look at her and say, okay, I'll try.
I'm certain that your god is probably more proud of you if you act that way and get us out here safely than if you judge us all constantly, openly.
So, Maya, are you trying to listen in on this conversation?
I'm currently within earshot, but also eyes on the perimeter.
Okay.
Listening in.
I don't know. Are Tiela and Saoirse trying to be discreet?
Yes. I kind of wanted to not have anybody hear us, so she probably wasn't talking too loud, and she kind of took Saoirse and herself away from where she saw that everybody was.
Wait. Did Tiela turn off her thaumaturgy from last game?
It deactivates after an hour or so.
It turns off after a minute on its own.
So everything she said within an hour was still really loud.
1 minute! 1 minute! It's 1 minute. It's not an hour, it's 1 minute.
Still, you forgot to turn it off.
1 minute. Yeah, that would have been hysterical, but the Sheriff Shaw would have also have been deaf. And he would still have been inside of the fucking cart.
So, Inquisitor, you want me to make a roll?
I would say, yeah. You would have to actively be trying to eavesdrop. And if you're also trying to do it discreetly as well, not only that, give me a stealth check.
So, which two am I rolling for? Perception and stealth?
Yes.
So, perception is... Ah, shoot. Why does it have to be so small?
I wish I could roll that against my own stealth and be like, nah, I'm better.
You get to roll it against your perception.
Because I have a +7 on stealth.
So, perception is +4, 10 + 4.
14.
14. Okay, what's...
Stealth.
Sarah Shaw, what's your passive stealth?
A passive stealth. Oh shit! You had to ask for passive, didn't you?
Yep, it's just 10 plus whatever you add.
It's 10.
Okay, all right. So yeah, you've been able to eavesdrop in on Sarah Shaw, but you've only been getting half of the conversation because Tiela has been very, very good about keeping herself quiet.
Well, you said roll stealth as well, right?
Yes.
Do I have to roll that?
No.
It'll be against our perceptions.
Okay.
Passive perception.
So, am I rolling stealth to make sure they didn't notice?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, a 7 + 6, which is my stealth.
13.
13.
So,
what's everyone's passive perception?
My passive perception is 15.
12.
Mine is 16.
Mine's 11.
The only person who's completely oblivious is Sarah Shaw.
I'm sorry, Sarah Shaw, but
you notice everything that Maya's doing. Maya is trying to listen in on you and not very good at trying to remain hidden to you.
Tiela just looks at her and is like...
Sarah Shaw's completely in the moment. He's very much attached to the conversation that you two are having.
Yeah. Well, eventually Tiela goes a little bit like, wait 1 minute, and she looks over to Maya and is like, you trying to listen?
And I just sort of walk away gently, whistling.
Bye!
Wait. Wouldn't a drow get advantage just because of the dark skin and it's night?
No, because I have dark vision.
Clothes.
That and drow, they don't say specifically in the rulebook that drow get bonuses for stealth in the night.
But she's not smiling.
She has white hair.
So what are you trying to say, huh?
Yeah,
dark-skinned elves are criminals?
No, that they just...
That's racist.
Okay.
So at hearing...
Can we get back to the moment?
I'm assuming we heard...
No, you guys are completely consumed in your game. When Tiela took Sarah Shaw away from the situation, you guys were...
Heard Tiela say...
You're trying to
listen.
No. Tiela was just saying it to Maya. The only person that heard that was Maya.
Oh.
Unless she was like, 60 feet away or something.
I mean, like...
Then she had to scream.
I was just gonna have Olvir yell, no!
Anyway.
Because he doesn't know what she's talking about.
He could yell that, but he could yell that because he's losing.
Which, speaking of, I did a roll, and I got 12 and 2.
You got a 10.
You guys can take your dice game into the side chat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did have some things I wanted to do as I was patrolling.
Okay.
We'll get to that after Sarah Shaw and Tiela. I'm trying to give everyone their spotlight.
See what I mean? She's even trying to eavesdrop on our conversations now.
Yes, but I have to admit myself that I am also very curious, so I would probably try the same. Only I'm a little bit better at what I do.
Ooh, shots fired.
I turn and I give her a quick deadly glare. To kill.
She's a rogue. I'm stealthy. That's what I'm
kill for a living.
Do it. You can shoot better. I can stealth better. Continue, Sarah Shaw.
But I guess I'll have to try and kind to the drow. It is the consensus of all of us, and you are the closest to a family I've ever had since Cedric's death.
Wait, one moment. I'm out of character. What did he say?
Mm-hmm.
The closest of family since? Is he saying that to her?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Since Cedric's death.
Okay.
This is the first real human conversation that Sarah Shaw's had with anyone, Tiela. So.
Oh, I'm just here, and I'm probably Tiela's probably also kind of shocked. I'm here like, what?
Didn't you remember?
Just looking at him like, what did you just say? The same way as I just did, but she understood it a little bit better first off.
Don't you remember back at the church after the fight with John? I pretty much said that you guys are essentially my new clan.
Yes, I do. It's
now
just
Tiela has attachment issues.
Exactly. It's just for me. She just falls silent for a little bit, and she goes. For me, it's a little bit harder to understand that since the death of my father, that was the only person I felt attachment to in Sigil.
Then you understand why I feel this way about this group as well. The last person I had attachment to was Cedric.
And how did Cedric die?
That's something she doesn't want to ask. That's a little bit much. Well, maybe not.
I'm that trickster god that's trying to get in your brain there, Tiela.
Yeah, I noticed. It's working.
I should do that for a character trait of yours. After becoming an arcane trickster, you starting to hear this little voice in your head.
Tiela. Actually, I didn't know that I had to have a god, so Sanguine just tossed some gods at me, and I was like, "Oh, I'll pick this one." So,
That's
anyway,
the worst.
May I be blunt and ask how he died?
He died of old age, happily in his bed.
You could hear a sigh of relief.
So she's like, okay, because if he would ask the same thing, she has a more gruesome story to tell.
Yep.
Okay. So, well, no, she didn't kill him.
No, I'm just saying. You know.
I thought you were insinuating something else there until you put the pen in your hand.
Okay. No. No, just no.
I'm not as debauched as you, Drow.
At least he died peacefully then. There are worser ways. And she goes like silent again for a bit, like my father died because of me.
I've often asked myself if my mother went the same way.
Well, this is getting heavy. Yeah. The most important thing is let's try and keep it more civil and more fun-ish in the best way we can, because we're in, I don't know a sigil word for shit, but so I'm just motioning like around me, like we're in this. So
you could just say we're piped.
What did you say?
We're piped.
We're piped.
We're piped. We're quite piped.
It effectively means we're fucked.
Yeah. So let's try to make at least our company be pleasant. Like, wouldn't you rather be playing along with them, having a little bit of fun, instead of, well, sitting here talking depressing stuff with me?
I'd like to be back on my travels, and in a perfect world, still being a merchant's son.
But that's not the current situation, Sarashaw. We're currently in this situation, and wouldn't it be more fun to be there, sitting there, having fun, laughing for the moment that we can, instead of just moping?
With that, you can hear Olvir jump up and point at Sanguine. Ha! Fuck you, demon boy!
Like that. Wouldn't you rather be doing that in a fun way? You could legitimately call him Demon Boy then, without it being an insult.
It does sound like more fun than trying to put together the pieces of a failed oath. And with that, I toss the sheet of paper on the ground and turn and walk towards the fireplace.
Well then, Fiala looks at that and just picks it up in case he regrets it later, and puts it in a pocket.
Okay. If you want, you can DM Icy the contents of that.
Wait, what?
There's stuff on the piece of paper within it.
Okay, so first I'll look at it then, before I stuff it in my pocket.
It's like a curse.
Inquisitor, you do have a copy of it if you so choose.
Okay.
I just assumed that because it's something of Bahamut or something or whatnot, that I'm probably not going to understand what's on it. That's why I just I pocketed it, because... Yeah. Do I have to roll anything to recognize anything?
No.
Common.
Okay.
Well, it
so
depends.
what is on it, or do I... Is it... Do I need to look somewhere to see what's on it, or...
No, okay. It's just written on it. Okay. After a while, everything starts to wear down. Maya, what would you like to do in this time frame?
So, essentially, I've been walking around the camp, except for the part where I was eavesdropping and shooting daggers.
Yes.
With my eyes.
Important
sort
distinction.
Of scanning the horizon. Scanning the horizon, trying to see what I could, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
I assume I saw a bunch of nothing, a whole lot of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sort of start moving towards the what's it called again? Where the woman is.
Vardo.
The Vardo.
Yeah.
And I knock on the door. To see if Dulcime is it?
Yeah, Dulcime. She comes to the door, opens it up, and this time she actually looks like she's been trying to sleep.
I looked at her and first off, before I did all of this, and was I able to tell that she had the sight earlier when she spoke to me?
You got
I know the drows respect magic, but I don't know if they have knowledge of that.
You got the sense that she was seeing things in you that was not readily apparent to other people. Especially when she made that remark to you in confidence when no one else could hear.
So I basically say to her, I believe you owe me some answers. What do you know of me? What do you know of my quarry and the man who got in the way of it? And I'm not trying to hide any of those words.
So are you threatening her?
No, not threatening.
Okay.
I'm sort of just demanding.
She looks at you kind of is taken aback a little bit, especially with your tone, and she kind of looks you down, says, "If I so choose, I can divulge the whereabouts of your quarry. I know what you are hunting."
I ask, but do you know why?
I can be just as ruthless as you. And her eyes go dark for a second.
Ooh. I sort of take a step back and say, the drow respect magic, and I did not mean any insult. Forgive me if I'm tense.
She says,
this is a very personal hunt to me.
Oh, I know. I know. It's written all over your face and in your past. If you do this thing for me, if you aid the ills of this land, perhaps I may put you on your path. But I need my sleep.
What ills this land? Oh. I kind of do have something of a snarl on my face because in the end she's still human, but she's valuable to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, fine, we'll speak more in the morning.
She goes.
I sort of grumble and go back to the fire.
Well, you asked what ills this land, right?
Yes.
And she says, a coming curse, one far more powerful than I can levy.
Does it? Does it have a name?
She stops for a second. The darkness in her eyes kind of recedes a bit, as if she's struggling to keep the power that she was threatening you with for a split second, and then she, kind of her focus is regained, and she says, Senmet.
I respond, can it bleed?
She stops and looks at you for a moment,
And that says, the dead bleed only when they've not been cursed to walk amongst the living again after 100 years. Blood has long since dried, though fresh blood will stain the sand again.
And it's yours. I mean, what?
I looked at her calmly, sort of gripping. The only tense part is my hand gripping my holy amulet of love. And I say, the price I'm asking, the lead, is enough price. I would consider this a contract. If you're asking me to end this land, what was the name again?
Senmet.
This Senmet, I'll accept your contract.
She nods and says,
to me, this is I'm considering this something of a assassination contract. Not necessarily directly killing. I'm not that stupid. Actually, being hired.
She looks at you and says, sometimes it is not as simple as that. But if you uphold your end, and we are able to leave the dunes of this land, then you will have your direction shown to you.
Okay. Very well, then. She responds. By the way, I was kind of hoping this conversation would be at least heard by others.
Are you trying to be discreet at all? Or
no, not at all.
Okay. I would say
I'm the kind of person I really don't want to have to explain myself to meat sacks.
Okay.
Meat dudes.
The only people I think that would really sort of be able to overhear would be Sarashaw and Tiela, but both Sarashaw and Tiela are somewhat engaged in their own conversation, especially about the family history, which is going on at about the same time.
Would anybody notice the conversation going on, like see me at a distance?
I have a perception check of 22.
Well, you're not actively. You're still playing the game. If you're playing the dice game, then you're not actively trying to eavesdrop on anyone.
I thought a little bit that the conversation that Maya now just had, because she was also trying to listen in on Sarashaw and Tiela, that it was towards the end. That it was towards the end of it, so I thought that Tiela might get the last bit maybe of it.
I'll say, yeah, Tiela, yeah, you probably heard the bit about the blood staining the sand again.
So she literally said maybe that, like, really soft, like, it's your own. Like, as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. With that, I basically give a bow of sort of respect and something of a thank you for giving just a slight sliver of hope to regain my trail. Okay. And then I turn, sort of approach the testy older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And say, I sort of tell him, you should get some sleep too. I can maintain watch till the morning comes.
He kind of looks at you for a moment and says, "We look after our own. I will keep watch for now. You worry about your own compatriots, lest I have to worry about digging graves for all of you in the morning."
I smirk and I tell him, I'd be more concerned about digging your own. From what your sister tells me, there may be greater things to worry about than me and my companions. And then I just walk away.
Is no one going to ask what Olvir was doing with the bells?
Oh, you mean the setting up the alarm?
As a ranger, I would have an idea already. So
yeah, you know the spell. Of all the people, you would know exactly what he did.
Tialia doesn't care. Tialia does care about the blood staining the sand. So I kind of want to make a stealth check and just pop up behind her and go like, "What was it about blood staining the sand?"
So no one's gonna ask why a big 6'5", like 250-pound barbarian was doing with tiny bells.
Why would you ask the big scary barbarian what he's doing with bells if you're short like Tiela?
Olvir, what is best in life? Tiny bells.
Tiny bells.
What does it say? 6'5", 200-pound barbarian do with tiny bells? Anything he wants to.
I'm assuming that while I don't know the exact spell, I just kind of glanced over and went, "Oh, spell. Okay."
No, this was like way before.
Yeah.
Before anyone started playing dice.
Yellow's like 5'4". She's not going to question the big guy.
Dude's a teddy bear.
Happening. I'm assuming that that's what Sanguine did. Just kind of a, oh, okay, spell.
Well, that might come into play in a bit. So, is there anything else that anyone would like to do tonight?
Are the others coming over to where we were dicing?
Yeah, I'm over and I'm just sort of spectating the game at the moment.
Well, like I said, I kind of want Tiela to ask Maya what the hell that was about blood and sand stains. Blood staining the sand, but I don't know if I should.
Even though we're not like sleeping, does this still count as a long rest?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I sort of sense intention with Yella?
That would be an insight check.
Okay.
Is Tila trying to?
I kind of wanted to have her walk up to Maya, but quietly, like stealthy, and just be like, "Hey, I have a question. What was that?"
Well, is Tiela trying to be deceptive at all, or?
No, not deceptive, just stealthy, just popping up like out of the dark, like, "Hey, hi."
Okay.
Just a little bit spooking her.
Has a passive of 17, so.
Yeah, no, you can do that, no problem. And you don't really need to roll for sensing her motive because she's not trying to be deceptive at all.
No.
So.
Okay.
Basically treat it as an automatic pass.
So.
Okay.
So.
Sorry, I don't want to be too nosy, but I heard something about blood staining the sand. Is there anything I need to worry about?
I just smile and says, "Oh, nothing more than the potential for the undead and maybe not getting out of the sands alive."
That seems not too easy. With the sands being everywhere. Even in my pants at this point.
With a little more serious look on my face, I'd say it'd be best to rest for now, worry about it in the morning.
Is something wrong, Inquisitor? You're looking.
Oh, You want the dice tray? Got it. No, my roommate's sitting at the table with me.
Okay. She looked at Maya and asked, "So did you rest up then? I assume from the snoring that I heard."
My eyes sort of like narrow and like, what did you say?
Well,
I do not snore. I am a matriarch.
Well, I tried to sleep, but one of the noises that kept me awake was snoring from your direction.
My hand grips my whip a little bit. Would you
And
like
she
to
holds up her
restate
hand like, "I don't mean to insult. I'm just saying."
So you're saying
it's natural.
It's natural.
So you're saying I didn't snore? It's natural.
Inquisitor.
Yes.
With Maya gripping for her whip, would Sarah Shaw be able to see that?
I would say no. Sarah Shaw's attention's now focused on the group with the dice.
Does he know the
Yes,
dice?
you don't need to whip me. I'm good. I didn't mean to insult. I was just generally asking because you're up and at it already. That's just. I was curious what you did.
Ask the half elf.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. And she just walks away and goes back to the group.
Half elves also get the trance feature, right?
No.
No? All right.
You don't?
I built a half elf not 2 days ago. They do not.
Okay.
What feature?
The trance instead of having to go into full sleep.
No, they don't.
Okay.
No.
But he'd know of it though, because he's an elf or half elf, right?
Yeah, he would.
Okay, well, she just walks away like, "I didn't mean to insult."
Inquisitor.
I'm sorry, I see her as comical, like just cartoony, just walking off like. Bleh!
What was that, Sanguine?
Does Sarah Shaw know the gaming mat?
Yeah, he gets the same sort of information as Olvir. He knows just by sight that it's a battle standard, not a tapestry.
Well, same question for Tiela now she joined the whole thing.
Yep.
Well, I don't know, Sanguine, what's the history of the object?
Like I sent you in the message on Discord.
No, Tiela wouldn't recognize it.
Okay. Nor would she care.
It's not necessarily a bit of history because there's no nations in Sigil. It was mainly the fact that you were part of a mercenary band that kind of gave yourself out to certain fights, whether it be in Sigil or whether it would be other places. And yeah, okay.
So I walk over to the dice game. I look at Garen and I look at Sanguine. I turn to Sanguine and says, "Garen's cheating," and I walk away.
If he's cheating, he's doing a very poor job of it.
Right?
Yes,
I never said he was a good cheater.
I would say that Tiela wants to join, but she would want to try her skills of deception a little bit, to be fair. But
no one's playing for money right now, so
yeah, no one's playing money
just
yet.
to see if they notice that she is being deceptive. But yeah, I can't really go into the chat and write stuff. So
yeah. All right. So all of you eventually bed down for the night. Several people taking shifts. The brothers mostly keeping to themselves. Of course, now with Maya having already done her trance, she keeps a wary and withered eye. In the night, you notice movement, Maya, but nothing really
breaks the sort of
tranquility.
The distance. It doesn't happen until probably about 8 hours after all of everyone finally beds down for the night. In that time, Olvir.
Yep.
You get a sense that your alarm was triggered, and everyone, instead of hearing a bell ringing, a handbell ringing, all of you hear what sounds like a banshee wail.
Cleanna?
Tiana jumps up and just grabs for her sword and is like, "What the hell was that?"
And again, I say, God damn it! That's not how that spell's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at after hearing Maya say that that's not how that spell's supposed to look. I look at her and nod.
When I come out, I literally just shout, Cleanna?
Jesus.
When all of you, come out and are fully aware, you look out in the distance, and in all directions around the Vardo, there seems to be a dune about 20 feet out, entirely encircling all of you, that seems to rise out in the distance. Heat, rising up off of the amounted mass. Everyone tell me what your passive perception is.
12.
Mine's 14.
16.
14.
Okay, one by one.
Well,
Olvir
so,
14.
so far, the highest is 16 with Garen.
Yeah.
Okay. Garen, you're the only one that recognizes it immediately as soon as you see this mound. First of all, it's in a almost perfect concentric circle around you guys. Second, that steam that seems to be rising up off of the dune,
Mm-hmm.
you look a little bit through it, and you can differentiate some color patterns that are a bit different. Namely, running along the lateral edge of this perfectly circular dune is what seems to be black broken by bits of brown scales. And all at once, 4 snake heads, the size almost of the Vardo, rise up out of those concentric circles and look at all of you within inside of their coils. And that's where we'll call it for right now.
Ha!
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ!
We had such a
You
nice talk with
saucy
each
bastard.
other, and then shit happened.
Of course shit happens. It's us.
So everyone, I hope you had fun. We will start our next session next week with rolling for initiative. Everyone, have a good night. Unpleasant dreams.
Don't die.
Good night.
That was a good one.
Night.